Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Brenda's Musings. So today I'm going to talk to you about kindness. And I don't mean great, big, huge acts of kindness. I'm talking about just small, individual acts of kindness and the energy that they create. You know, in the last few days, I've been privileged to witness all kinds of kind acts. I witnessed a woman giving up her seat to an elderly woman. I've witnessed a man making space around him so that a mother and her children could sit down and play. I've witnessed two passengers on a plane who were assigned the same seat, and how they could have fought about it and become really angry and belligerent with each other. But instead, these two people, plus two flight attendants, all worked it out with smiles on their faces. And, the resolution, brought laughter. Like it just... So here's the thing about these different sorts of acts of kindness. Not only does it change, does it feel good for the person who is being kind. If you're kind to somebody else, it's kind of like this little sunny spot in your day. And it's not about, it is, but it's not just about the person who is having a kindness given to them. It's also about all of the other players. It's about the people who are witnesses to the acts of kindness. I saw a man this evening being given a gift, and it was the same gift sort of over and over again, but it was handed to him, and he just, without even giving it a second thought, just passed those gifts along to other people. And it just struck me in that moment that how many other lives were touched by him doing that. And again, it was nothing huge, but it was the act. It was the act of kindness. When we talk about random acts of kindness, or RACs, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about things that are we just do because they're kind and for no other reason. And all of that creates an energy in the world, right? Imagine if the news was filled with people being kind to each other rather than people hating each other, rather than people fighting each other, rather than people going to war with each other. Being ungrateful, or being rude, or judgmental, or like all of that kind of stuff. Our news feed is filled with it. But imagine instead if we could fill our news feed with kindness. And, and some stations do that. Some stations have, before the news comes on, they share something like a local story, perhaps, where somebody was kind to somebody else. And that's great, and I applaud that. But I'd almost rather see that happen at the end of the show rather than the beginning of the show. Because that's what we're left with. We're left with, we start out with this beautiful kindness, and then we have all this other crap piled on top of it. So, when you put things out into the world, your energy flows where your attention goes, right? So if your last thought is of kindness rather than, say, bigotry, just as an example, then wouldn't that be far better for our society than some horrible story? I don't know. I don't have answers. I know. And I know that all this controversy sells papers and radio stations, or TV stations and stuff like that. But it just makes sense to me that if we want to have a better world, we need to be better at telling our stories. We need to be better at sharing sharing the good things that happen in our lives. And maybe that's where social media can excel. Anyway, that's my theory and my musing for today. Have a great one, everyone.